Good. Okay, so yeah, one thing that I'm not sure I've made you aware of yet, Josh, is, and I don't know how pertinent this is, but I've been building some, community model stuff for quite a while. I've got so the conscious co-creation is step one. It's supposed to be adaptable community model. So, and let me just illustrate that by the place where I am, which Brett knows, which is Ray's place in Sussex. So Ray wants to take his farm in this national park into an eco-spiritual conscious community.
Cool.
And so the plan is to put that into a trust. And in terms of the buildings, what we're looking to do is things like a Amish style wood frame plus straw bale barn, coat it with a geopolymer material,
Right.
and put aquaponics and hydroponics in there, and plug in so there's one aspect of the food, plug in the energy as well. So it's going to have then year-round growing. And the aim is to produce surpluses and also to have an eco-cafe restaurant and a shop. And the technologies will be there for the food, the water, the energy, healthcare. We've got some fantastic stuff on the healthcare side. The building materials, waste, question mark, because the ideal solutions are actually out there, but they're not of a small enough scale to really apply to this kind of exercise. But the long and the short of it is that the surpluses of energy, the surpluses of food, added value through the Eco Cafe restaurant, which will also sell art and crafts and things like that, will be there. There's also going to be a youth hostel with 60 beds. And the aim is then that this becomes a place where there can be seminars and where all of the community outflows are flipped around to make inflows, and then there's going to be a cryptocurrency connected to the surpluses of the community, and denominated in joules, in energy, as a universal energy form. And we're going to do things like layering the technologies together. So, for example, for the food, it won't just be aquaponics, but we'll be looking at energized water, hydrogenized water, electroculture, ultrafine rock minerals, ormus, sonic frequency stimulation, things like that. So it can all be tested out. And really, a lot of these are quite well proven, but they've never been stuck all together before. And the aim of an indoor space as well is that we can then say, okay, well, what can we take out without making a difference? What can we add that makes a big difference? And come up with like an optimal solution of all the stuff that's proven to work and prove together, and really get the best effect from the growing. So there's the stages are then the co-creative governance, the community model, and obviously that would need to be adapted, because it might not necessarily be, that you can do straw bale or even wood frame building in, maybe a tropical area, though it could be absolutely possible. We don't know. Depends on the area.
Could make it hotter if you're doing thick walls instead of screens. If you're in tropical,
well,
trap heat in. If you don't do it, if you have, let's run air conditioning and then.
Yeah, could do. And obviously it's the reverse here where we are. So in the winter, although the walls have a good deal of thermal mass, so they act as a really good buffer, the issue is they need to be heated in the winter, and we'd look at some extra heated areas to grow things like avocados and pineapples and stuff like that as well, which is extra added value and bonus on the food side. So the elements are
you had a question about it though, right? You had a question about it?
Well, what I'm suggesting is that this is all available. So we've got, to share. So we've got the governance, which we're doing, the model, the currency off the back of that, and the agricultural stuff. So I don't know if that's the kind of stuff that you're looking for at this stage, but if it's of interest, then that could be a possibility to use a platform for modification or something.
Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's the place? Where's the location of the place?
This is Sussex, a place called Alfriston. And the other thing is, you know, we've got quite a lot of interest from the national park here because they're after a new community model.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the point is that some of that stuff might be useless. Some of it might be useful. If that's what we're recreating here, then it could be easier just to go through that and say, like, oh, we'll like that, we don't like this, etc. So, you know, it's there as an offering if it's of use, and if not, then, you know, because I'm not sure what you're sort of planning for this stage, if you like.
Yeah, so it sounds like, so I just have a role in everything. So it's not like and for me, if I'm going to team up with a landowner, it's going to be super synchronistic. We're going to be on the exact same page. It's going to be in the optimal area. Otherwise, we just, you know, right now, what I see needed is everything you're saying is crucial if you're going to have you know, a living community and whatnot. But then on top of that, really, like, what's really been going wrong is just the whole financial system in general, but the financial model. So how I see, in addition to that, is an innovation center, and that innovation center being able to, and I hate to put it like this, but if it's a small area, it needs, you know, to have a big impact. It's going to have to play the game of, like, okay, how can we, you know, whether it's just fundraising for nonprofit or whatever it is, how can we get some funds in? Because it could be nonprofit, it could be training people to do business funding. It's something that brings the money from the old system into a closed loop new paradigm system and into that currency, hopefully. And then so everything sounds in a line. I would add that to it, and yeah, and I'm not someone that would run everything, but I can definitely help as a role to help. What we're doing right now, I think, is the perfect piece that everyone needs to go through and get organized before they start and get on the same master plan. So I think that would be, they could adopt that and check what we're doing and kind of pick one and then see if that's a match that way.
Great, Josh. Well, what I'm looking at the moment here is basically trying to get a model up and running effectively as a sort of private exercise, if you like, although there could be like crowdfunding and stuff behind it as well. But the aim is to try and demonstrate the model and then replicate it on an adjustable basis. So as I've said, you know, it may well need to be modified extensively for different geographical areas and things like that. But one of the things I've been thinking of here is quite simply then moving the whole thing onto the blockchain and having a start point as a contract, basically a smart contract. So you've got now investor puts in money. He now has a bond, which could be a long-term bond, which is, okay, this is how I get secured. And how he gets secured is that the people get the land and the buildings and stuff like that transferred over to them under build, operate, and transfer. And because they're producing all of these surpluses, including sales of technology, etc., then the surpluses are some of them are set aside to go back into repay that bond. And of course, the community are engaging with, you know, the model and with the organizational stuff and things like that. And so, and then the whole thing's underpinned by this inflation-proof currency, which is geared to the surpluses coming off the community, denominated in energy. So that's how an engagement could be encouraged, and what the technology providers would get out of it would then be that you know, they're also encouraged to engage in a process whereby they don't just get paid in part in the inflation-proof energy currency, but also the opportunity for them is to engage with communities who will integrate, demonstrate, market, and sell their technologies, and where the technologies are cheap enough, maybe even become local manufacturing partners for them and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So on the one hand, they're inflation proofed. On the other hand, they're protected by the smart contract process, etc. So there's a number of advantages for them, and they don't need to build the big international distribution, sales and marketing infrastructure, etc. And so that's how I could see that working. So our aim is to get the model to step one by whatever method, and then once we've proven it, put it out as a blockchain kind of smart contract process, which other people can then just engage with freely. So I'm an investor. I like this. I'm a technology provider. I'm someone who wants to create a community, and that's how I could see that being bridged effectively.
Nice, cool. I think just to respect the time, that's a whole giant conversation. And
Yeah.
I think that, and I think that, so we can either do that at the end, or we can because a part of our conversation is actually envisioning all this together. That's what I imagined us doing here together. And so before we do that, since I guess let's do a quick check-in with Brett and Leon, and then let's if we don't, maybe we vision the economic part. It sounds like that's a big question or whatever, but I guess let's check in real quick. Hey Brett, how you want to check in?
Sure. Good afternoon from Tepoztlan, Mexico. Nice to see everybody. I'm good. I'm chill. Just busy on calls and doing my thing and working with the team and everything. So I'm happy. We're good. I'm checking in to listen and mostly listen and just connect with everyone who's on the call. And if I have something to add or share, I'll shout out. But I felt like I just wanted to be here, just literally be here, so I can see everybody and participate at least on a minimal level of showing up.
Great.
Until I understand what's going on and all that.
Cool. So yeah, our design today is to get into the energy. You know, how I'm seeing it now is we're creating this collective field, this synergistic field that we're all, you know, trying to really focus on the energy so that we can get into this creative space together. And I think we got there last week. Are you able to speak, Malia? I don't know if she's able to speak. I asked her earlier and I didn't hear. She's on mute. Let me try to unmute. Okay, there you go. Hey.
Were you asking me a question?
Yeah, just saying if you wanted to do a check-in and how are you? And
well, I'm really excited because I took your idea. Sorry for the noise, the background noise, but I took your idea for using Holochain and I applied it to my zone of experience, which is supply chain management. And now I'm on the verge of creating a new company. I have a lot of people from the coffee industry and other supply chain industries who want to participate in an app that would decentralize supply chains. Because I don't know if you realize that Monsanto and what we call the big five agribusiness companies are trying to consolidate the food supply, water supply of the world. We all know where that's going.
Yeah.
So we need some heresy. We need some decentralization. And I'm just the person for that job. It was like I'm born for it. So I'm really excited. And I'll be going to this event called Open Co-op in London at the end of the month and working on that. And I'm excited to also learn more about Holochain and how it applies to your community ideas, because it's definitely an exciting community of people who have thought deeply about what's right in human relationships, and I'm excited to be connected with them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into our thing. Thank you, Malia. And in case you guys don't know, Malia she's a property steward, much like the guys you were saying, Mike, and in Hawaii, and wanting to do a similar project, kind of like what Mike was saying. And so we're all here, landowners, investors, community builders, here to try to work together and figure out how we can co-create. And so I think this is really good, this energy piece that we're bringing today. I'm actually going to share screen for a second because I just want to show you what I'm looking at. And this is the process right here, I believe, the energy circle. Is this the most direct piece that I'll be looking at, right, for today's conversation? Correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So, you know, we're looking to get progress, get ideas out there. And so how this looks is we'll need someone to record it. So I'm suggesting that we can do between, since Maria's walking, me, Mike, and Brett could maybe do like a Google Doc that we have an outline on. And so we start doing outline fashion, where we say whatever topic we want to really bring in, we would be a part of the outline. And we feel like we're changing topics. Let's frame our conversations. So let's keep, you know, what I want to add into this, Mike, to the energy circle is framing. And maybe that will work and maybe it won't, but I think if we're going to do an outline and we're going to fill in a focus or an intent, I know that part of this is having an intent, is that there's some intent to this energy circle. Is that right, Mike? Or is it just completely talk about whatever?
Yeah, basically, it's better to have a structure for what we're doing and an intention, so then everyone can just bring in what they can to the to the energy of the exercise, basically. But the thinking behind the energy circle is that it's a fast flow. It's who's got what to offer, put it on the table, and then make fast progress. Whereas if things become stuck or heavy or they need deeper exploration, then you can go into the listening circle. Yeah,
great, the listening circle. So what I want to add to this today, and what is framing. So as we frame something, it's like especially if we're gonna be doing an outline, we're kind of speaking on a whole systems level. And we did this last week, and it changed subjects really quickly. It was like, oh, well, water, and we can design that in a way where we go, oh, what would we want in our village of our dreams? And so we can have in the outline like, technology and energy and currency and like different subjects that we can kind of go back and forth on. Because when I'm speaking about currency, and then someone else switches it, but we haven't completed that frame, Brett might be left thinking, hey, I was wanting to say something about the currency, and keep that energy flow going. And then once we say, okay, are we complete on the energy circle before we, are we complete on the, if we're talking about, for instance, technology or our currency was my example. If we're talking about currency and we say, are we complete? Is everyone complete on the currency? Because I want to talk about energy. Our energy. And then we would make sure that everyone's complete before we switch frames. Does it sound good to everyone?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, good for me.
Okay, so I have actually had to switch my Google Drive because it's full. So what I'm doing now is I have a brand new drive from Green Earth Vision, which right now I'm logged into. It's almost full. I actually cleared a lot of space, but I still want to have a fresh one. So I'm signing out of this one, and I'm trying to move it over here to Green Earth City, which is we're getting closer to anyhow. So signing in here, and this is going to be a brand new platform for us for Google Drive for everyone. I've got the declaration, and I've got Google Classroom. Have you guys heard of that?
No,
I haven't. No.
Here's the Google Classroom. I don't know what's in there. Find healing, and there's nothing in it. I just barely set it up, but it's different classes you can do. And so I can even just do a quick show of it. Because this is something I believe that we can jump on if we want. It's because right now we're doing the same thing with Google Docs, and it's sort of, I've been making follow this step and this step, but I think if we have a classroom, it'll be really understandable where to go, how it works for people. And so I've got healing and prevention, which is actually supposed to be class 1, and then finding your purpose is class 2. And then I'd want to have co-creating as a class 3, and 4 would be team empowerment, and, something like that. So we make sure that people are coming in, they have tools they need, even if they don't need to be healed, that they have the tools they need to do that. And that should be a pretty quick one, believe it or not. I have a very quick process for that. It doesn't need to be too crazy. And we don't need to linger in this area. because we're already at the co-creative. We've already set time aside in our lives. We know how to organize our time. We found our purpose. So this is just tools for people to use in case, so we all can share. So the finding your purpose and stuff will be something we'll probably all pitch in a little bit more on because we have knowledge there. And then we're in the third one, co-creating. We're learning how to co-create, jump on the same platforms, get the same master plan, get the understanding, know how to effectively talk and communicate. And then after that, we'll start we'll actually shared platforms and we'll actually empower each other and shared currencies and funding and all that. And then we'll have teams and that'll be the next one. So that's how I'm envisioning it. So anyhow, that's the classroom. I put the declaration in here, and right now we're doing a practice energy circle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create it outside of the declaration for now because I don't feel I don't know yet. I want to keep that one focused. So I'm going to share this Google Doc with you guys. And we're going to call this one the co-created future. So we're going to co-create the future in the outline. And so let's let's do an outline real quick. We have energy. And what I mean by this is personal and human energy. Let's just say human energy and flow. Technologies that fit. Obviously, if they don't fit, we don't want to talk about them. Anybody else? Outline. A funding model, which is different than the, and I think it's probably a really good place to start because we want inclusive funding models, but it is different than the currencies. But currencies tie into almost everything there, it seems like. What else do we have? It's a piece of this. Shared platforms, which is a little different than technologies in my mind. It is a technology. I think we would keep it separate because if I want to know how we're co-creating and what we can actually use together right now versus random technologies, I would want that separate. Anybody else have anything they want to add to that before we start? And we can fill it in as we go.
Yeah, just as a suggestion, Josh, because there's so much you can do on the technology side, to consider having, subsections or individual sections for, the different aspects of community. So that could be food, water, waste, energy, healthcare, building materials, those kind of side of things. And then, then there's a structure to that stuff as well.
Yeah, so like different pieces inside of that.
Yeah, then it becomes very easy to see what's on the list for, for any one of those items, healing technologies, for example.
Yeah, yes, great. Okay, cool. So this is a new email for me, and I have not emailed you guys from Green Earth City yet, from greenearthcity@gmail.com. Spiritual Philanthropy, is that you, Brett?
Spiritual Philanthropy 55@gmail.com.
Okay. And then Mike Upstone?
Michael, MICHAEL _Upstone @yahoo.co.uk.
Okay. If you get a Gmail, I think some things work a little better. Is that right, Brett? If he gets a Gmail account? Might not
Probably.
matter.
I'm not sure, actually. I'm so used to using Gmail.
In this case, it might not matter. And then, Malia, your email? I'll unmute you. Maybe she's unmuted herself. Sorry, go ahead and unmute yourself, Malia. She might be absent. Oh, she's not editing this anyway. She's on her phone. Okay, sending this to you guys so we can all fill it in together. Sound good? So what we're doing here, just to give you guys a little, we're testing this flow, this energy circle. And in testing it, we're co-creating our future to start with a future vision. And so we're all just, even though we've all done this, we're co-creating it. And so what we're just going to do is we're going to throw out, we're going to fill in sections and just throw out anything that's super resonant and important. And part of this, as I show you this co-creation thing, just like we have Brett and Malia on our organizational structure, bypass blocking. Example, if we cannot articulate better than, I don't like it, we don't have anything to action in a practical sense, and this can undermine those putting the positive solutions forward and lower the energy of the team. So this is like solution-oriented, yes, and helpful agreements that we can use. So we're not really going, I don't like it. We're just listing a bunch of stuff. And then in the end, we'll go through and allow ourselves to choose. There's a whole next steps process that allows us to choose the next steps together with our teams that we've chosen. So this is more of just a big vision that we hold as universal agreement field co-creators that are all heading towards the same intent. Okay, so it's the big vision. And when we narrow it down to what we're doing, it's another process. It's not this. Okay, so I'm here to ensure everyone gets heard, keep a focus on positive solutions. And what I would say in this one, and I don't know how this is, Mike, but I think part of this, just because this is my first time with this, is if someone is is maybe going on, it could possibly, oh, Mike dropped out. Darn it, I had a question. That was my question for him. He'll be back. I want to add in something here, Brett, where it's like if someone's, as we start going into solution mode, I think it's going to be pretty quick no matter what. But I'm going to check in with Mike just in case it gets stagnant, if we can do a hand signal or something, in case someone's, or a time limit. Like try to keep it under a minute kind of thing. Because we should be able to come up with a quick little thing within a minute. Like that's a lot of time.
Only if I can do the Illuminati sign is my sign.
Illuminati. That means, okay, great. Is that the Illuminati sign?
I don't know. It's one of the Jesus one, right? What is it? I don't
know. I like that. I've never seen that one.
Wait, how does it go?
I love it.
You know the Jesus one. Jesus always like kind of in those pictures. They say it's an Illuminati sign.
Oh. Cool. Well, that's a great one. Let's incorporate that. Is that so that's it's not raising your hand, but it looks like it, but it's not. So, but it stops them if they're talking too much. So it looks like a hand raise, but it's saying like, hey, like you're going too much. And what that happens in this session, Brett, is if that energy does start getting stuck, we have to actually go to the listening circle. So we have to completely slow the energy down, totally tap in, because people are getting too far out there. Okay, so let's just start. Mike will have to come back when he comes back. Let's start. Okay, so which topic would you like to? Which either one of you, Malia, you're here too. Would you like to start with? I want to start with the funding model, but I'm open.
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you just kick it off as a way to model what you like?
Okay. So funding models. There's okay. So I'm going to write a couple that could work. And so let's see if it's bold. It's not bold. I think one of the ones I'm really leaning towards right now is membership model. And the cool thing about doing it this way, Brett, is that we can actually, after we get them all, we can start tribe matching and matching into what and figuring out who we're working with in these different outlines. Okay, so membership model, and how I see that work, the reason I like that is because a membership model really allows us, if someone wants to pitch in more than then it's a donation. It's some kind of a donation, and maybe they get a benefit, but there's not like this big giant financial return. It's, you can donate and you can maybe get some extra benefits in there. Maybe get discounts on stuff that because you've got money, you want to buy stuff, you know, within our networks. If we have extra real estate, maybe we have a real estate arm that's just outside of it, just extra benefits for people, but not extra rights or extra speaking power or extra decision making. You know what I mean? So I would even call it a member, because there are. I would think a membership model would be really good for that, and I see that as really bringing us in a decentralized manner to where we need to go. So let's just go quicker. So, what other funding models do we know of?
Well, for us, it's about philanthropy, pure philanthropy.
Pure philanthropy. Okay.
This is straightforward for me. I mean, we've built a field here. We've received pure philanthropy. I mean, it's gift economy as well, like kind of pure philanthropy / gift economy. I mean,
great.
It's maybe people identify with that more.
And membership model, I don't know if it goes in with. So we're doing funding and currencies, right? So I'm going to put those together because I think what you're saying is a whole system there. The membership model that I have specifically I would attach it to contributionism, if anything. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to put / contributionism. So these are two models that obviously we know work and are great as rootsy startups. Now, obviously another model we could take is we could fund some big project and make sure that they put a piece into the pot for everyone, but then we're doing the same thing. We're going to end up taking those profits and putting them into one of these models. Doesn't mean we can't do it. It's got to be a quick thing. I don't want to spend years trying to do that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And hoping that we get profit off some kind of random business that is a sidetrack. I was just talking to a guy about that just a little while ago, where we're talking about big funding, but he's saying all my investors want to make these big return. They're looking for high return stuff. And I was like, well, I don't really want to resonate with those kind of people anymore.
Can you hear me, Josh?
Yeah. So we're doing funding. We're doing funding models, and we're trying to keep it sort of under a minute so we don't get too lost. Cool.
Okay, great. Yeah, sorry about that. I've had a little Mac problem here, and I had to restart my computer. So, and it's still playing up slightly. I think I can't get my video on. But
oh, he lost him again. And so I like the membership model, but I just want to think before we move. Malia, so we're all heard. Do you have any funding models? Anyone just jump in at any time. That's the thing here, is just write it in. If there you go. This is so nice, Brett, because if we're on the same Google Doc and we're looking at it, you can just start writing, and then we know that you want to speak. Isn't that cool? I like that. An ICO. You're so true. Initial co-creative onboarding. So that's not a normal ICO. That's a different one, right?
Fuck yeah.
Is that sort of like the ICO that I've been talking about, where we get, is this what you mean, where we just get people together and we just create our own currency?
It's just a brainstorm I've been having on our project. So I would say it's right now, the thought is kind of related to what we're doing, which obviously isn't dissimilar to what you were talking about, but it's not a one size fits all kind of thing. But it's just, I think I'm putting it in there so we can note it for another time potentially. But also generally the ICO model. I mean, like looking at ICOs in a different way, I think is something we need to explore, whether it's now or later anyway. But it's just something.
Great.
But it won't be the type of ICO that's out there. I mean, it's got to be more aspirational and evolved than what's been happening. So.
Great. All right.
Great, Brett. Sorry, I got another little glitch there, but Josh, I just wanted to say what I think is going to happen with the financial and economic situation, I think is on its way, and it's going to happen this autumn. And my thinking is that at that stage, all those investors are not going to be so concerned about high returns. They're going to be concerned about security and protecting their interests. And on that basis, I think there's going to be some kind of a sea change or paradigm change on that, and that's perhaps where the possibility of doing things like build, operate, and transfers, and having things secured by a cryptocurrency which is inflation proof and geared to surpluses from a community could be useful. But my thinking is as well to have, a mixture. Why not do crowdfunding as well? I think an ICO is really powerful also. And gifting the lot, basically do a bit of everything, but on the commercial side to think about the security aspects, to get away from the short-termism of the typical commercial model, and do things in a way that are secure for potential investors, but also going to give them, hey, what I'm doing here is also ethical, and I think we could have quite a magical combination there.
Great. So crowdsourcing, right? Mixed with, is there anything else there? Because you should have access to this document, and what we figured out just now, Mike, while you were off the call, is that as we are all sharing this Google Doc and we're in this co-creative mode, instead of like raising our hand and having to go over something, we can actually just put it in there. And that means that we're going to start talking next, or not gonna, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like raising your hand. It's like, I'm talking right now, Brett's typing. Basically, he's going to tell us what he's typing. You know what I mean? So it saves us from having to kind of wait.
I think Brett's just putting a bit more eloquently exactly what I've been talking about, actually.
Oh, is he? Okay, current trend of people.
Yeah.
Pull back. Capped percent of financial return on investment. Yes, as capped currently. Oh, I didn't know that. As well as
and can I just add something as well to what Malian was saying, which is that I was also talking to Raymond, thanks to Brett, recently on the Holochain. And, we had a huge amount of synergy there, I think, but I'm waiting for Raymond to get back to me to have a call about this concept of, putting the kind of stuff that I've been talking about on the blockchain. And he reckons it's ideal for that.
Yeah. So blockchain, holochain. This is still funding model, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because that could be, through a smart contract, which is just another way of setting up a contract. Then, you could have a way of pulling in the investors and dropping them into a safe model as well. It's because the people that they're engaging with are going to be, committed to these co-creative good governance principles, which leads to balance and innovation. And you've got the model for the food, the water, the waste, the energy, and moving things quite intentionally into not just sustainability and getting by, but into abundance, and completely reversing the outflows from a community to create inflows into a community, and basically using that as an open model. And
feel free to type any of this stuff you want with. Let's make sure that if someone comes up with a model that we're on the same page, obviously. So type any of that you want, Mike, into the document that you should have.
Okay. At the moment, I'm a little bit wary about touching anything on the computer. I just quit out of every other application. And I wasn't even sure I was going to get the video on, actually.
Okay, cool. Brett, I want to add in, if that's okay. We have someone's okay. So on the social impact loans investment, I want to add in that it goes to, that we're gearing at least a good part of that, 1% at least, towards a closed loop system. Does that sound right? Because you could look at a social impact loan or investment, and it could be any kind of model, and it could really be old paradigm. if someone took that and they go, oh, yeah, let's create that, and we weren't there, and then, you know what I mean? So do you agree with that?
That's fine with me. I think you know a little bit more about that than I do.
Closed loop system, what I mean by that is, and so this would go for, so the ICO is, in my mind, is a closed loop system. The membership we can build any of these as a closed loop system. Social impact has a high probability to be looked at in an old paradigm manner. And so a lot of people that we're going to say, hey, give us a loan, give us an investment, and it's social impact, they're going to say yes, and where's my return? And we're going to say, here it is. We're going to give them a return, but we're also going to make sure that it's not just, landowner and investor and founder, and they all make the profit, and everyone else is they're disconnecting from the holistic system that we're trying to build. We would actually use that social impact loan or investment we would pay the back. This is getting a profit to someone, obviously, as we know. But we would want to use the profits to basically funnel into a closed loop system, meaning that we're funneling it into a system that doesn't escape back out into the matrix.
The profit gets recycled back into other aligned projects.
Yeah. So for instance, if we had a currency that was attached to our agreement field, we can't go buy plastic toys from China because that's not what's accepted by the currency. So we're keeping it, we can return it into our own retreat centers, our own people, our own products, that's closed loop. And those are obviously carefully chosen. And so we're basing it on real things that we can spend it on, not like gold or, stuff, like random things that are just, that we're not utilizing. So, which really doesn't have anything to do with closed loop necessarily, but you get the idea, Brett, or?
I think so. I mean, generally speaking, I do. For me, the social impact loan investment is like, we've been down that road before, like with our project, and it's really just a decision. Like, I don't mind the social impact loan / investment type of thing, because the current trend from my studies is like the people are waking up to like, listen, I just want to get my money back so I can invest it into other things I'm excited about. And you can cap the ROI to like something very small, like 7 or 8% or something. And they're not really getting ownership and shares in a company, even as an investment or loan. That's why to me, it's really a loan. It's not really, it's an investment in the thing because they believe in it, but really it's a loan. It's not the shares of a company or anything. So they're saying, hey, I'll give you $1 million. Just give me back $1.2 million when you can as well. It's also related to a social impact loan is also only paid back according to the health of the system. Like, it's not just like at any cost I get paid back. So it's also part of the return is like, we understand that, we should get paid back as you become profitable, et cetera, et cetera. So I kind of like I kind of have some appreciation for the idea of a social impact loan, because it's kind of like philanthropy almost. The people can't go all the way with philanthropy. So they're like, can I get my money back with a little bit just so I can reinvest it into other things that I care about?
Yeah. And then they become a member or something, maybe, if they're in line, and
well, we've split it into two things. Like, we call people catalyst. So catalyst is someone who doesn't want to necessarily be a member and take part in the culture, but they appreciate the vision and they want to see it come alive. And then there's somebody who's actually a co-creator who's onboarded, and no matter what money they give, they have to be accountable to the same agreements and the same, alchemy and the same emotional work that everyone else is. Like, so we've kind of been, and that's not a done deal for us. We're still exploring, like you are here. Like, what is the categories for us?
I've actually broken that down a little further within the membership model. So there's certain things in the membership model that basically you can give to people as a member just for their contribution. And then there's certain things that have a stipulation. If you're in agreement with these access agreements or these universal or whatever organizational, then you get these benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So cool. Social impact investment. So what we're saying is, what you're saying is that the social impact investment is we're looking for and I like this. We're looking for, let's call it lowest bidder, maybe looking for the lowest bidder. Like we want, someone says 7%, someone else says, well, I'll give it to you for 5. Then we go with the lowest bidder, obviously, right?
And the terms are important. Like when are they looking to get that return, the initial principal plus the return back? Like what's their attitude about that?
Okay. Yeah. So instead of lowest bidder, let's reframe that. Let's say like not best, but like most co-creative or something, or
most generous. For me, but it's like, okay, who's going to be the most generous? Like generous, not with a shadow, like martyr, but who's the most generous person? Like, I don't know. That's what comes up for me. Right. Who's the most generous? I mean, like, it's like rewarding kindness in a sense, like rewarding compassion. Like we're looking for, evolutionary people here in a sense. I mean, for me, the social impact loan, the frequency is only for the right people. Like I wouldn't offer that personally, like to anybody under any condition. It's just like a bridge to me. Like, oh, okay, I feel you. You feel us. You really want to help, but you're not able to just give a gift. So maybe there's a medium. There's a middle here. Like we pay you back over 25 years, or, as soon as our ecosystem is over X amount profitable, we start getting, it's like dynamic. Village Lab calls it like a dynamic agreement, like it's not just black and white. It is this and then that. It's a dynamic agreement.
Yeah. Cool. Are these agreements able to be made on like the blockchain or something?
Oh yeah.
Smart contract?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What does that do? Is that just to like, I mean, can't I just make an agreement on a Word document? What's the difference between blockchain?
Well, the blockchain's all coded according to a particular protocol, and you can set in your parameters for things in advance. But once you've done that, it can be massively scalable. So, for example, let's say you're the investor, Josh, and we're talking about doing a contract, and we're agreeing the terms of the contract and all the rest of it. Well, the equivalent is I've already got some terms for you, and if you accept them, then you can just jump straight in. On the blockchain, though, it opens up far more scalability. So you could now be, you've never met myself and Josh, but you've come across the access point for a smart contract, and you go, okay, these are the terms of the contract. I'm now going to engage as an investor over a period of time, which could be flexible, as Brett has said, where my money's protected. It's going to be linked to the outflows from communities. It's going to help the communities to jump forward in terms of integrating with technologies. They're going to be organizing themselves on a model that I understand and I feel comfortable with. And on that basis, bang, I'm just going to chuck in the money. And then everything else happens through the smart contract itself. So the openness and the scalability of it is a completely different sort of animal, if you like.
So it's like an app. I mean, we could do that with an app, obviously, but it is an app. Also, is it an app on the blockchain, or is it just?
Could be. Yeah, because let's look at Holochain. They all work in a little bit different ways, I think, and Brett will be able to correct me if I'm wrong. But with Holochain, for example, it is like a structure on which you can hang apps to perform different kinds of functions, which can be these kind of smart contracts. So the beauty of the Holochain is, I think it's intentionally aligned. All that work is already developed and it's been launched. And now what we could have is an app that sits on top of that manages this whole process.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm actually technological enough to explain it, but for me, apps are basically like user interfaces. I mean, they're the applications that run on top of the engine. So like the app that we create for this would be called something like community social impact investment. And there would be an interface, like you do this, if you do this, then this happens. And then underneath it is where the smart contracts are actually activating these agreements. So an app to me is almost like a user interface. It's like, in layman's terms. So like we can create any app we want. The technology is providing this new layer of decentralization and encoded contracts. And I mean, smart tokens can even change over time. That's another interesting thing about the smart contracts and tokens. Like you can actually say, like in the smart contract and the token, like when this DAO or this community makes a net profit of 1 million, Bitcoin, then it gets activated in the contract that investor, if they made an agreement, actually gets 100,000 like Bitcoins, because it's actually like it gets activated over time. They're very flexible, and I only know a little bit about that.
Okay.
That's a
really
smart
cool.
token.
And how easy is it to interface and create those kind of contracts?
That I don't know.
Okay.
That's for the techies on our team, our sides that help us.
Okay, because I have a guy here this morning that just says he's made a couple smart contracts, and he was going to download me with it. Would that kind of follow along with what we're talking about? I would learn that from him.
I don't know if I can answer that, but it'd be worth checking out for yourself to learn firsthand.
Guys,
Cool.
just out of interest, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
He froze.
Great. Okay, because I've got the spinning wheel of death on my Mac at the moment, but good. You can hear me, which is the main thing.
Cool. I'm complete on the funding models. Is there anyone else that has anything they want to put in there?
I think that's a good spectrum of things, at least from a starting point. I like sponsorship. We've been looking into that as well. There's not much there, but I think that's a very good one. When we can get some momentum and some clarity, sponsorship is a really enticing thing, I think. That could be interesting.
Yeah, totally.
And I'd like to add in the possibility of doing a build, operate, and transfer model, which gives the investor a sense of security, but it also absolutely gives the point where the community actually gets possession on and ownership of its buildings and infrastructure and stuff like that. So that could be a really good bridging point, basically, between securing the investor and securing the community.
What is it, Mike? Build, operate, what?
Transfer.
Build, operate, transfer.
I'll just put it in there. You can come back later and add some.
Yeah. Can we I'm going to put a note in there for Mike Upstone to explain, because I think you can do it best.
Okay. Do you want me to explain it now?
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's see if we can get it. Oh, I guess he's not going to be explaining it now. Crowdsourcing resources or money.
You can just do that, Josh. Keep that an email alert. You can assign things to people.
On Google
on
Docs?
Google Docs.
Let's try
if you right click and highlight and you leave a comment and then you start typing in at somebody, like their email, you can assign them.
Okay, comment right there, boom. And then, you did it already.
Yeah, you can see.
And then how would I do the assign? Here's a comment. How do I say, if I'm going to do that same thing, do I type his name?
Just start typing in like at Spiritual Philanthropy, or at Brett, and it should come up with like different options.
At Brett.
Oh, there you are. Let's say no, at. Try at.
Oh.
Yep, there you go. See, and you've got your whole Google list basically.
Oops. At Michael Upstone, and then I would say that and I would assign to. Okay, gotcha. And you already did that, so good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you should get an actual email alert saying you've been assigned something.
Assign to Michael Upstone, and you have it under Build, Operate, Transfer. Okay, you got that, Mike? You see how that works? We can't hear you, but you're not on mute. So that's
okay. Yeah, I've got that. Shall I do it later, or do you want me to explain it now? Because it's pretty simple.
Yeah, if you can do a brief one, I'd be help with that. I don't know if I can.
So it's a contract. You guys are building a community. Say the contract is okay. I'm going to put in the money. That gives me a security interest in the in the place and the development and stuff. But otherwise, I can't do a thing as long as you go along with the contract and the plan. And then when we reach a certain stage, and you're in a position to repay all of it or X% or whatever, then you've built it and you've operated it to make those profits, and now the property's transferred over to you. So I've been paid as the investor, and you're now the owners of the property, and all of that can be.
It's a lease option purchase, basically, sort of, in a real estate.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a fair equivalent. Under currencies as well, there could be something coming in at the next stage. So, one thing I've suggested is an energy currency linked to all of the products coming off a community. And there's three roles of money. The medium of exchange, the stable measure of value, and the method of saving. And as a suggestion, what we could have is a second stage currency coming in, which is now, hey, we're in abundance, we're saving and all the rest of it, and we've got these resources. What are we going to do with them? You can have another currency created to, according to a smart contract, where us as now, let's say we're three different communities, but we get together and we say, okay, we're now going to put some of our currency into a project where we're going to buy some toxic mine land. The assaying is good. We're going to make a profit off that through, gold or silver or whatever that comes out of the mine spoil heaps. But our technology will not just release that, but it will return the land to nature and remove the threat to the waterways from arsenic and sulfides and things like that. And so our second currency could then be a currency of saving, whereas our first is about connecting energy to currency and flow. This now connects currency to saving, and it connects the saving to saving the planet and actually restoring the planet and supporting pollution remediation technologies. So, that could be is another sort of option which covers that base, because, if you look at it this way, there's a conflict between flowing and saving. And this happens with, dollars and pounds and euros and all the rest of it. So to me, it kind of makes sense to have a yin and yang currency operating in the system.
Cool.
Yeah, we're working on yin and yang currencies as well for our project. That's a good one.
So we're naturally flowing. Is everyone complete on the funding model? It seems like we're naturally flowing to currencies, although I'm excited about shared platforms myself, which we can do whatever we want. Is everyone complete on the funding model?
Yeah, and in a way, Josh, I just want to point out that, I think the way that I'm looking at it, and maybe the way Brett's looking at it as well, is that actually there can be quite an intimate relationship between currencies and the funding model. They could be made in a way that they can actually partner with each other and support each other.
I think they need to, and this is why we have up top membership contribution, pure philanthropy gift, because they have different. The pure philanthropy just says, "Hey, we've proven what we're doing. It's already here. You don't have to question it. You don't have to ask us. There's nothing about that at all. Do you want to support or not? Period." And that turns into a gift economy. Hey, we're all doing it together. We build the garden together and we eat together. And it's real obvious if someone's not what someone's devoted to. And this is what I guess this is something I would say to Brett is like, in my mind, if I was in a gift economy, it's real obvious if you're devoted to showing up to the meetings or not. So a lot of it might be a gift economy, but doesn't mean that you can't say, hey, participate, show up in the meetings, like you're on the team, right? Cool. All right. You're part of the team. You have access to your gift economy or something, right? Is that right, Brett? Is there still some access? Or is it just gift economy to everyone, everywhere? It's specific access for whoever comes into an agreement field, right? In the gift economy?
Well, I mean, I use it very specifically. Like, I'm just writing for me the definition. It's sharing resources unconditionally without expectations of future reward or returns. I mean, because again, you're talking about economy, like philanthropy, money. Like, until we shift into a resource-based gift economy, like where we've gone beyond even these ideas of people need to give money so there's a return and then they have a stock. And I mean, it's all fucking crazy to me, to be honest. Like, and we're doing our best. We're doing our best to find like these trim tabs. So, I mean, that's what we call synergistic co-creation, Josh, what you're saying. Like, just because you're gifting like a resource, doesn't mean you're not accountable, like you're saying, to like the agreements you've made and to the vision that you're sharing and the intentions that you're sharing. So, I just changed it unconditionally because it's not unconditionally, actually. Like, people get to share under the conditions they want. Like, I'll let you use my car. Like you would say, the agreement is not unconditional. I've got to get out of that because it's really not helpful. It's more like you can use my car, but please return it by Sunday. So that's not unconditional. But as long as that is agreed upon, it's without expectation of future reward. Like if you do that, if I let you use my car on till Sunday, that means someday you have to let me use your car. That's transactional. That's not where we're going in a gift economy. The gift economy is like, you can use my car, please bring it back as clean as possible. I need it for Monday for work. Other than that, it's yours. You just knock yourself out. And like, I don't expect anything for that because you know the system will always support everyone. So it's non-local. You know, you don't need to worry about transactions because everyone is sharing and helping each other. So
gifting with a lot of clarity behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's really interesting. Yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, so the sharing resources without expectation of future. Yeah, and so you can have smart contracts attached to your massage table. It says these kind of people can use it and clean it up or whatever.
We're already doing that in NewMap, to be honest with you. Like every hold-on is a resource, whether it's a skill, a vision, a passion, or a massage table, and then it has multiple conditions that you can add. Like this is actually unconditional, or you can borrow it, or you can sell it. Yeah, it's the agreement field, and basically it's not in NewMap yet, but because of HoloChain, that means that every single hold-on is a fucking smart contract itself. Every single currency is a smart contract. So when I shoot that hold-on over to you to borrow my massage table, it's actually in this, like whatever the terms are in the hold-on smart contract. And
love it. Yeah.
I mean, it's not there yet because we didn't build it on a decentralized platform, but clearly like with HoloChain and what we've been doing, it's going to be an easy no-brainer. Like.
Great. Yeah, that runs us almost into the shared platforms, the HoloChain. So cool. So I got what that is. I don't know if I need to explain membership contribution. You're doing the gift economy. Contributionism for me is very similar to what you're saying. As we start to talk about access to things, they do flow into each other really well. There's still a level in a contributionism model, and I think it's still coming from a little bit of scarcity mindset because it's saying, well, we haven't gotten to a point where we're making profits yet. So the gift economy to me is coming from a place of going, well, we have abundance everywhere. Let's just move forward. And, yes, we have access agreements. Yes, we have teams that we're doing. Yes, we have what we're devoted to, and that's clear and obvious. And we have enough. Let's not worry about it. Let's just do it. Where in the contributionism, it's a little more,
equity kind of in a way.
It's a little more reciprocation based. Yeah, it's a little bit more like
sweat equity in a way.
You're on a team. Yeah, you're on a team and you're doing the work. So yeah, basically, if you take money out of the equation and you say that money, everyone's got their basic needs met and all that, and they can fly around. The rest of it in most companies is just a bunch of labor. Go cut some trees down, make a house out of them. The difference is we're still dealing with the matrix, and we're not a whole system. So if we were a whole system, we would have all of our labors together pooled to be able to go get nails and hammers and put that in and turn it into a house. Right now we're having to turn it into money, go buy that from someone else and bring it back. But a contribution model is a model as a whole as a whole system would function very similar to the system we have now, minus you would not have to pay for things such as a gift economy. You would actually be able to go grab them. So it's the difference in gift economy. In gift economy, you wouldn't just be able to go grab nails from the store and hammer and go work. You wouldn't.
No, that's a resource-based gift economy. That to me is the combination because a resource-based economy is goods and services freely available, being the common heritage of everybody. So I've added resource-based to gift economy. So it's all goods, services, and currencies like vision, skills, all this stuff is freely available to everybody under the agreements that they make. But they're all like the nails and hammers are really available in a resource economy. So it's a combination of all these things that we're all talking about, generally speaking, where we're heading, I think.
And so the only difference,
for me, contributionism is not a funding model. That's more of a social model.
That's the currency.
As far as literal
social model. Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. Like, that's why the whole systems, infinite world game is like, when you onboard, like you're doing, and you agree to co-create and contribute to the things, that's sort of the contributionism. Like, here's my gifts. Here's what I can give. Here's what I'm willing to put into this shared intention. That's kind of the contributionism, you know, I think from our perspective. Like, I'm contributing something. I'm not just going to free ride. Yeah. Like, I'm not just going to walk into your store and take your nails and hammer. I'm actually, this is my contribution to the shared intention. And that's the membership model in a sense. Like, I'm onboarded to this. I'm part of it. I'm a member.
I'm putting in something.
And yeah, and it could be money, but because of the resource-based gift economy, if you can also put in time or love or a leverage and influence or a network, that's also a way of contributing. Like, you don't have to just pay a fee, like, you know.
Brett, do you mind if I butt in with a question, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, Brett, have you looked at the you know, the issue of doing an ICO and the costs associated with that?
I've looked into it enough to know it's a bit crazy right now, and with the legislations and all that. And this is why I'm looking for a couple years from now, personally, for our project to go in a completely different kind of direction, renaming the ICO and what it's actually about and what it does. So I'm not an expert in that. We would need, like, Holochain has got a big team of lawyers and people that help them figure out all that stuff. And we meaning all of us and our project would need that kind of help, because it's pretty thick. It's pretty thick going right now with the SEC and regulations and what's a utility token compared to a different kind of token. And
it's a big process, and it's costly.
And I'm not excited by it either. It's not my passion or excitement to actually play in the world of douchebags. Like,
yeah, but what I'm thinking is that, you know, if we can do something based on the Holochain, and you know, and if, because they've got the infrastructure, it could be done, you know, pretty quickly and easily, because actually all of this stuff has already been done. It's just a question of doing it with a different intention. And on that basis, then because the other thing that I've been looking at then is, you know, because I'm very interested in not just the existing system and the new system, but actually how we can bridge them. And an ICO looks to be a good option, especially because I think we've got fantastic networks of people to bring into this. And, you know, potentially, I mean, quite literally reaching tens of millions of people who are intentionally aligned with what we're doing. But one thing that I was looking at then was the possibility of us, and I know this is very, very, you know, old paradigm, but why not? Because it's just creating energy to flow into the new paradigm, is creating a private bank to create the credit or the capacity to create credit to back an ICO and get the models moving, because the big challenges are not just the ICO, but getting community models built and demonstrable, because we are the what do you call it? You've got the visionaries, if you like, who are at the cutting edge of things. Then you've got mass adoption, and then you've got the laggards right at the end. But our aim, I think, is to reach into as many people as possible. And one of the issues is, unless there is something really solid manifested in terms of, oh, there's actually a place that's doing all of this and putting all these technologies together and governing itself in that way and doing all of these things, then a lot of people will be skeptical. So the bottom line is, the quicker we can manifest things that and prove things, the more easy it is for the slightly later adopters to jump on that and go, okay, I can see that now, and I can see that it works. It's not just, because the classic is, it's just an idea. And the moment we can ground this into, no, it's real, it's more than just an idea, then we're opening our reach to many more people. And that's something which is of real, you know, real concern to me, if you like, and trying to bridge those points and have the highest possible aspirations and ideals about where we're going with all of this. But basically saying, hey, you know, the ship's open, come on board, as many people as possible.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the private bank path is interesting. If somebody like yourself or other people could come up with a pictograph like 10 slides explaining like how it works and what type of expertise, as you had asked me before, we need to actually look at potentially what would it take to actually do that, then I would be interested, but I don't have much personal understanding of how to add too much to that. And as far as holochain, yeah, if I was going to do an ICO right now that was anywhere near like mainstream, I would go to them and ask them if we can partner somehow so we could get their expertise and how they did it and what they did. And, you know, I would create probably a company in the same country they did, Gibraltar, I think. And I would try to like really mimic in a way and work with them personally, like if I was going to do that. And I would do it on holochain personally.
Are you in touch with Raymond regularly?
Not regularly. We're just acquaintances and friends.
Okay, fair enough.
Which Raymond Powell?
Yeah.
He'll be here at the Tribalize. He'll be speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Because I'm just waiting to hear from Raymond on this. Because the other thing is, if we, e.g., just as an example, if we're going to crowdfund for a community, and the community we're talking about here is 100 acres in a national park in the south of England, including the building, it's going to be probably an 8 to 10 million pound project. Well, hey, for £3 million, we can have our own private bank and create £10 million worth of credit, and all we need to do is to plug in banking software and interface with a card company, and then have a protected cell insurance company. And what that means is that they can insure the contracts between the private bank and public banks. And that overcomes the big problem about private banks working in the system. And on that basis, hey, poof, we can create the credit, we can get the whole project up and running, and we can worry about how the credit is collapsed later on. And because it's all done privately, it's not something that, apart from doing the typical banking stuff of know your client and anti-money laundering, they're not going to be interested. Why? Because it's not open. It's not open to the public. It's something that's occurring between small groups of individuals, communities, different organizations and stuff. And on that basis, they look at it from the outside and go, okay, well, you're lending this credit. That's your own risk, but you're not involving the public, and we're not interested otherwise. So, rather than us fundraising £10 million for this project, we could go just £3 million, create the bank, and off we go.
Cool.
Yeah, sounds possible.
I think there's different levels of these things, and I'm seeing the banking system go along with the ICO. I'm seeing the sponsorship sort of on its own. It could crowdsourcing sort of on its own. Social impact. I see the membership. I'm starting to really see the membership, the contribution, and the gift economy going together in a little bit. I have a little bit more I wanted to add to that. I see the contributionism as kind of it's something the membership. Sorry, that you can just do right now with no money. So we're talking about scalable, repeatable models, or repeatable, especially easily implemented. Boom, 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 boom.
Bingo.
And then they go into the next one. And so what could happen is, and this is what we're actually doing, is we're taking our membership model, and one of the first things that's going to happen, at least on my Patreon, the first things I'm going to do is create a resource, and this is what you guys are doing, Brett, which is raising more funds. So this is something we could be doing together. Right now we're still in different places, but we have a lot of groundwork on it since we've talked, Brett, and I'm sure you guys do too. But basically, having a fundraising arm at all times. So having that pure philanthropy model, because as soon as we can get to that next level where we have a sustainable income, because a philanthropy is not necessarily sustainable income. It might be for a time, like you might have a reserve that sets you out for the next year with your team. But the scalability is not there. But if you throw it into the membership model, it becomes, they work back and forth. It's like the steady rise versus the booms. And then you can start to go from contributionism more into the gift and start to combine them into a thing where it just becomes access. They're actually the same thing, contribution and gift. Because like he said, in a gift, it all depends on, are you making money or not? If you're not making money, gift doesn't really work if no one's making money. Contributionism could still work. That's why it's a ramp up. If you have no money to give to people, you can't gift anything. So having, you know, a mix where once you get to that point, you have access, everyone's doing their thing, you go to the store, you get the nails, and you know that that's okay because you know you're part of a team and you know that what you're building is co-stewarded by everyone. It's already part of the master plan. You know that what you're doing. Now, if it's outside of what your sub-master plan is and what you and your team have agreed to do for the collective, and it's a part of everyone's shared vision, if it's apart from that, that's a whole different story. That's a personal, separate quest that was not agreed on by everyone. It's not in the agreement field. You know, you can't just go, you know, do a bunch of cocaine and hang out with, you know, people on the street.
I'm out. Fuck this shit.
with
It
everyone
took me
else's money.
6 months. Now I know. Forget it.
I'm gonna go trade in these nails and hammers for, you know, a dime bag. Yeah. So there would be, you know, so even a part of the master plan. So even with the gift, it's specific. It's gift with a specific contract. Here you go, and it might be do whatever you want with it in that case. So it is a little different. Contribution is here you go, but it's specifically for that shared vision for sure. Like
there's a framework. There's a framework there behind it, you know, which is, you know, we're all in a little community with Michael Tellinger or whatever, and you know, this is what we're building. So, and there's already that intention there. We've already combined on that basis, etc. So, yeah, it's about the parameters, isn't it? Really, because you know, the underlying function is someone's just contributing something, whether it can be, you know, easily measured in financial terms or not. Yeah.
And I think having a master plan sort of allows you to have a contribution plus gift economy. So if you're under a master plan and a shared agreement field, you've got all that stuff set. You know that that anything you do, you can just contribute, you go get it, you take care of it. But also people can say, hey, here, take this, and with no strings attached. So you can kind of have both of them going at the same time. You see that, Brett?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're basically looking at with the Infinite World game. I mean, number one, the future of the Infinite World game is actually, because it will be a resource-based gift economy. I'm talking about like Star Trek shit, whether that's 5 years from now or 10 years or 50. In the future, people will actually be able to follow their passion, receive the resources they need unconditionally, which is awesome. That's the future. Right now, people that are part of our Infinite World game have to be committed to building the infrastructure. Yeah, like you're saying, the contribution, and they actually have to be committed to building the infrastructure and the platform that allows for that reality to happen.
Yeah.
So the funding, according to our algorithms and our mother fund, is distributed according to the needs of the intention. So it's like, oh, the project needs a place to live, it needs nails, and the people need their food and their, you know, somewhere comfortable and healthy to live. So like it looks at the state of the mother fund, which is how much has been gifted or available, you know, and then it gets distributed according to everyone's needs being met, including the project's needs. And in the Infinite World game, people are coming together to build innovations, you know, RE products in the old world, and those products generate value. Now, in the transition, that's how you become sustainable. Like we have geniuses. When there's 100,000 people working together as an organism, clearly we're going to create innovations that are fucking awesome and massive, and they can generate, you know, they can be sold for coins, you know, like synergy coins or something. Like the only way you can access those innovations, like an electric car that we build, is by getting synergy coins. And that's how the organism sustains itself in the more traditional, well, it's not just philanthropy. We're actually creating you know, innovations that bring in, you know, sustainable funding until we get to the point where that thing is so big and massive that it's attractive, and it becomes the thing rather than something that was cut off. Like, so we're generally on the same page with all of it.
I see the yes, and I see the whole idea of having a currency, the whole idea of value exchange, as we just talked about. If we had a pure model contribution gift, that whole thing would be basically out the window. Okay, so as we're in transition and we're talking about currencies and value exchange and all this stuff, which obviously it's all just an agreement field. It's like once you have those agreement fields in place, if someone comes into your village and you're under this contribution gift, they've already been into the agreement field, they've gotten trained, and they're able to jump into motion with those agreement fields. The thing is, they're still new, and there could be, so money, as we know, is to deal with strangers, not with family, not with people that are under the same agreement field. It's to deal with people you don't trust. So it's like, here, you know, and so I love how Michael Schutte said of Holochain, he said, you know, you wouldn't pay your wife to sleep with you. You wouldn't pay her to cook dinner. You know, it's like, you wouldn't pay each other for that. Your family, you're working together, you're doing the same thing. You're under the gift contribution model. You're already there. You're already contributing to each other. You're already gift giving. You're already in that pure model as a family. So what it is right now we're in transition. So we've got different places it's just, there's too much at once to be able to have everyone do it right at once. So in the transition, we're still going to need a currency, because we may have a village that we don't allow people to come into. We keep our momentum. We go, hey, look, we got it going on. Sorry, if you want to learn about it, you can watch the videos and create it on your own. Or option B is allow people to visit using a currency exchange, which is just interesting. They would have to have a band saying, okay, I'm not part of the village. I'm still here visiting. I've got some currency that I'm exchanging with the community as I move forward and learn to work with teams, or whatever that would look like. So that's why currency isn't needed at all, but it is needed, sort of, in the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, just talking about the implications of this stuff, something resonated with me while you were talking, you know, both of you guys, and that is that, you know, one of the things we're looking at is a waste technology, which is, you know, takes all waste, and what comes out of it is surplus energy, pure water, and nanoparticulate materials. And, you know, nanocarbon even. We're not talking about the gold, the silver, the platinum, the palladium, everything else. The nanocarbon alone is worth, you know, $70,000 to $90,000 a ton. But that's not the point. The point is, first of all, zero waste. And the second point is then resource sovereignty. And what that means is those materials coming out of that process can go straight into a 3D printer, and a local community of sufficient size can be making its own mobile phones, you know, computers, cars, absolutely anything that it wants, because all those materials are in the waste already. So, you know, and the resource sovereignty aspect is important as well, because it means that a community that owns its waste owns its wealth and has, you know, sovereignty. It doesn't need anything else from outside. And if you want to play interfacing with the existing system, then you can use that to create, you know, financial instruments or whatever, you know, to back a currency. So in one respect, I'm looking forward as far as I can possibly go, and also I'm looking back as far as I can possibly go, and trying to see how we can smooth the path and connect these things together, so that we, you know, we can scoot as quickly as possible into the new paradigm, and you know, bring great solutions to people.
All right, we went into technologies on that one. But I love it. Let's harvest some nanocarbon and turn it in for 8 million. Get us started.
Yeah, I tend to put these under you know, categories. I think otherwise, because this is what we've been on, you know, since 2012. Is just, you know, collecting technologies together. So you know, you put them all together, and it's you know, I think that structure's going to be quite useful. But the other side of MgO, magnesium oxide, is you know, as a cement material, it's crystalline, and it's breathable. So that goes with straw bale and stuff like that. It's natural, and it can make buildings that can last 2,500, 3,500 years. And effectively, because you get a perfect bond out of it, hey, you've built a crystalline building.
Yeah, so actually you're right. MgO board is more of a building technology than a resource. But I mean, it's mixed, but they're all resources.
I put it as a building technology.
And what is the nanocarbon? What would be, let's not call it resource technology. What would you call that?
That's a waste technology. It's a byproduct of a waste technology. Really, and it's not just nanocarbon. It's nano, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, everything. Basically, whatever you're putting in is coming out in its essential state.
Got it.
So yeah, and MgO cements.
These are linked. So I got these two linked, so I'm just gonna have to delete that. Do it like that. There we go. Okay, cool.
Josh, I have to go in a few minutes. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you earlier. So
I think we're at our hour and a half.
I'll let you guys know.
I think we're good actually, and we could spend a whole session just talking on the technologies, and I know that Brett's plugged into technologies as well. I'm sure we all are. So
it's a little further down the road for us. We need to get funded, and have our currencies and our shared platforms, and our funding models, and human energy flow. I think those all come. I'm going to put this whole technologies. Sorry, Brett. I'm going to put it at the bottom. That's okay with you guys.
Cool, guys. Yeah, I've got to cook as well, so I'm going to have to head off shortly also.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent conversation. I think this is really cool. This is, so yeah, thanks, Mike, for helping co-create this process and showing up and really love working with you. And this is getting really fun. And, these things are getting ready to get adopted in a big way. And thanks, Brett, for pitching in on all these models and just doing all the stuff that we're both doing just at the same time in different places. It's just amazes me every time I talk to you because we're doing the same things in two different places.
On.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but
have fun in Colorado, dude.
Well, thank you guys. And hey, Brett, love to tan.
I will. Say hello to Ray for us too, please.
Yeah, we'll do, mate. I'm just going to cook for him now. So take care, guys. Have a great rest of the day and catch you soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye for now. Bye.